Imagine a land so rainy that its soldiers probably trained while standing in mud. A nation that spent centuries perfecting the art of polite conquest and ensuring everyone learned proper tea etiquette, whether they wanted to or not. This is the story of British military might. From blue-painted head collectors to nuclear submarine commanders who patrol the depths with unshakable calm. Ready for 2,000 years of strategic brilliance, tactical innovation, and the occasional spectacular disaster? Let's dive in. Long before Union Jacks and awkward queue etiquette, the British Isles were already a battlefield showcase. The Celts didn't just paint themselves blue for fun. These were psychological warfare specialists who understood that nothing disrupts enemy morale quite like facing a 7-foot warrior covered in intricate tattoos, stark naked, collecting human heads as trophies. Queen Boudica stood nearly 6 feet tall with flame-red hair cascading to her hips. When Romans publicly flogged her and assaulted her daughters, they awakened something terrible. Her revenge was swift and brutal. 70,000 Romans and Roman sympathizers died across 3 cities. At the final showdown on Watling Street, she addressed her massive army from her war chariot. Win this battle or die in the attempt. That's what I, a woman, intend to do. You men can choose slavery if you prefer. Then came the Romans themselves, pragmatic engineers who looked at Scotland and said, you know what this frontier needs? A 73-mile stone barrier. Hadrian's wall took 15,000 soldiers 6 years to complete. It wasn't just military engineering, it was ancient immigration control with watchtowers, gates, and bureaucracy that would make modern airport security jealous. When Rome finally packed up and left around 410 CE, Britain became the medieval equivalent of a revolving door hotel. Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Vikings, everyone wanted a piece of this rain-soaked real estate. Each group brought their own military innovations. The Vikings perfected hit-and-run coastal raids with dragon ships, while the Anglo-Saxons developed shield wall formations that would influence European warfare for centuries. June 8th, 793, the date that shattered medieval peace. The Lindisfarne Monastery raid introduced Britain to Viking warfare. Swift, devastating, profitable, and gone before effective response was possible. But the Great Heathen Army of 865 changed the game entirely. This wasn't raiding, this was conquest by installment, with hundreds of ships bringing warriors who stayed through winter instead of sailing home with their loot. Then came 1066, arguably the most important year in English history. After crushing Norwegian invaders at Stamford Bridge, King Harold force-marched his exhausted army 250 miles in 19 days to face William the Conqueror at Hastings. The battle lasted 9 hours, longer than most modern workdays. William's near-death experience almost ended Norman hopes until he raised his helmet, shouting, "Look at me! I live, and with God's help I shall conquer." Harold's legendary death, arrowed to the eye or hacked apart by 4 Norman knights, ended Anglo-Saxon England forever. Norman conquest brought military revolution, stone castles, heavy cavalry, and feudal organization. But the real game changer emerged during the 100 Years' War, the English longbow. These weren't hunting weapons, they were 6-foot killing machines requiring 150-pound draw weight and lifetime training. Skilled archers fired 12 arrows per minute with devastating accuracy. At Crécy in 1346, 7,000 English archers faced 35,000 French troops. 16 separate French cavalry charges were mowed down by arrow storms. The Black Prince, Edward III's 16-year-old son, commanded under direct attack. When messengers begged for reinforcement, Edward refused. Let the boy win his spurs. French casualties, 14,000 dead. English casualties, 200. Agincourt in 1415 showcased the longbow's finest hour. Henry V's diseased, starving army of 6,000 faced up to 30,000 French in a muddy field. English archers fired an estimated 750,000 arrows during the battle, arrow storms that literally darkened the sky and turned French knights into medieval pincushions. Enter the age of naval warfare, where Britain discovered its true calling. Under Elizabeth I, the Royal Navy transformed from waterlogged wood and wishful thinking into a professional fighting force that would dominate oceans for centuries. 1588 brought the Spanish Armada, 141 ships carrying 30,000 men and 2,500 guns. Spain's floating castles looked impressive, but England had secretly developed race-built galleons. sleek, fast, deadly vessels that could sail circles around lumbering Spanish giants while delivering devastating broadsides. Drake's legendary bowling game on Plymouth Hoe wasn't just supreme confidence. The English fleet was trapped by incoming tide anyway. The fireship attack at Calais demonstrated tactical brilliance. 8 blazing vessels sailing unmanned toward the anchored Armada created panic and destroyed Spanish formation more effectively than hours of cannon bombardment. But nature provided England's greatest ally. The Protestant wind that scattered the Spanish fleet killed 5,000 men as 28 vessels wrecked on Irish coasts. Spanish ships designed for Mediterranean conditions couldn't handle North Atlantic storms during the route north about around Scotland. Fast forward to October 21st, 1805. Trafalgar. Admiral Nelson's HMS Victory led 27 British ships against 33 Franco-Spanish vessels. Nelson's tactical innovation, attacking in 2 perpendicular columns, concentrated force against specific points rather than traditional parallel lines. Nelson's immortal signal, "England expects that every man will do his duty," required 12 flag hoists. Shot by a French sniper at 1:15 p.m., he lived 3 hours knowing of complete victory. His last words remain disputed. "Kiss me hearty," "Thank God I have done my duty," or simply, "God and my country." The strategic result? British naval supremacy for over a century. June 18th, 1815, Waterloo. Wellington's 68,000 Anglo-Allied troops faced Napoleon's 72,000 veterans on muddy fields south of Brussels. Wellington chose the Mont Saint-Jean Ridge using reverse slope tactics, hiding troops from enemy observation and cannon fire. The battle became a tactical chess match. Napoleon's diversionary attack on Château de Hougomont consumed an entire French corps all day without capturing the strongpoint. Marshal Ney's afternoon cavalry charges against infantry squares represented tactical textbook futility. Horses cannot break properly formed infantry, especially in mud that hampered mounted charges. The Imperial Guard's final attack at 7 p.m. was Napoleon's last gamble. These elite veterans had never been defeated, but Wellington's concealed guards delivered devastating point-blank volleys. The Guard retreats spread panic through French ranks faster than any tactical maneuver. Wellington's assessment, "the nearest run thing you ever saw in your life," understated the drama. Lord Uxbridge's leg provides comic relief. When a cannonball shattered his leg in the final moments, his exchange with Wellington became legendary. "By God, sir, I've lost my leg." "By God, sir, so you have." The 20th century brought industrial-scale death. July 1st, 1916, the Somme. 57,000 British casualties in a single day, including 19,000 killed. The preliminary bombardment fired 1.5 million shells over 7 days, but 30% failed to explode due to defective fuses. Each attacking soldier carried 66 pounds of equipment, half their body weight, making it impossible to move faster than a slow walk against machine guns firing 600 rounds per minute. The POWs battalions created concentrated community tragedies. Entire neighborhoods lost their young men in single attacks. But September 15th brought military revolution. Tanks. Only 15 of 49 reached no man's land on debut, with inside temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius and crews wearing leather chainmail masks against bullet splash. Yet, psychological impact exceeded tactical effectiveness. German infantry fled at first sight. World War II brought Britain's finest hour. The Battle of Britain saw 2,945 RAF aircrew face 2,550 Luftwaffe aircraft. RAF's 749 fighters were outnumbered 3-1, but superior tactics and technology proved decisive. Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding created the world's first integrated air defense network. Chain-home radar detected raids over 100 miles away, while 30,000 civilian observers tracked aircraft visually. British fighter pilots had 4-week life expectancy during peak battle, yet morale remained high. They knew they were literally defending homeland from invasion. D-Day represented the largest amphibious invasion in history. 132,000 troops landed by naval forces, while 18,000 paratroopers dropped behind beaches. 80% of naval forces were Royal Navy. British maritime supremacy enabled Allied victory. Lord Lovat's commandos advanced from Sword Beach accompanied by personal piper Bill Millen playing bagpipes under fire. Ultimate British eccentricity in action. Post-war Britain transformed from global empire to nuclear power. The continuous at-sea deterrent, operational since April 1969, represents the longest-running nuclear patrol system in history. Over 56 years of 24/7 submarine patrols. 1982 brought the Falklands campaign, operating 8,000 miles from home with a 127-ship task force. Black Buck bombing raids set distance records with RAF Vulcan bombers flying 8,000-mile missions requiring multiple aerial refueling operations. The Yomping Marines tabbing across East Falkland with full kit became synonymous with British military endurance. Today's British military emphasizes quality over quantity. Queen Elizabeth-class carriers, 280 meters long, 80,000 tons displacement, project power worldwide with F-35 Lightning fighters. Special Air Service selection maintains legendary standards with extremely high failure rates, while 6 Astute-class nuclear submarines represent the most advanced attack submarines ever operated by the Royal Navy. The nuclear deterrent remains Britain's ultimate insurance policy. Current Vanguard-class submarines carry Trident missiles with multiple independently targetable warheads. The 2025 modernization includes 12 F-35A dual-capable aircraft for NATO nuclear missions, the biggest strengthening of UK nuclear posture in a generation. So what defines British military legacy? It's tactical innovation under pressure, individual courage against impossible odds, and technological adaptation that turns disadvantages into advantages. From Boudica's defiant speech to Nelson's dying words to SAS counter-terrorism, the common thread is professional excellence combined with calculated audacity. Modern British forces continue this tradition. Relatively small numbers compensated by advanced technology, global reach, and strategic partnerships. Nuclear submarines patrol Arctic waters, special forces operate in shadows worldwide, and aircraft carriers project power across oceans. The island fortress that once repelled Roman legions now maintains global influence through maritime supremacy and nuclear deterrence. Not bad for a nation that supposedly conquered half the world to ensure everyone had proper tea service. The more things change, the more the British military adapts, innovates, and quietly gets on with the job, preferably while maintaining impeccable manners and a dry sense of humour.